But we're getting started today. Hello, everyone. My name is Renee, and I'm Coach Renee here in Renee's Nest. And today, I wanted to, while we wait for others to come, to first of all say if you've never been to this channel, thank you for coming. This channel is all about providing support and wellness tools for the ascending soul. And by ascending souls, it means that we are understanding and aligning with the consciousness of the universal life force energy, um, that which many people call God. Hello, Glow Glow. How are you? I'm so glad you're here. Hey, hey, hey. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How are you today? Yes. So thank you so much for coming in. We're going to have a quick review. But what I was saying is about consciousness and what this channel is about. And I am a certified life coach. Um, I have my master's degree in counseling and putting all that together with being a Reiki master and all of the other credentials, just helping all of us that can benefit from having wellness tools that help us navigate these turbulent times. And turbulence can be good, and turbulence can be frightening. However, we're navigating and becoming stronger for it because our mindset is beginning to change. Because things are happening so quick. If you think you can handle all that's coming towards you as quick as it's coming towards you, not gonna do that. I'm like, these glasses feel like they're just, oh, yeah, well, maybe if you clean the other ones. Okay. Oh my God. And so that's the point of having a weekly wellness plan, right? And our weekly, and the point of the weekly wellness plan is so that we can maintain focus. The focus this week for January 19th through the 25th is consistency. Ooh, that's enough right there. That's quite enough. How's it been going for you, Glow, this week? With just if you've ooh, if you've been reminded of all at all of the wellness plan and what we've been talking about, how has consistency and all the other tools, the how's it been working? How's it been going? How's your week been going? And we're going to keep going just because it's a little bit different and I'm trying to become used to it. But consistency, when you think about consistency, it's about being disciplined in an area, intentional consistency, right? We're talking about those things. And I guess you about it as I've been consistently doing something in a certain way that's not bringing me what I need. So I need to recognize that. And on the second hand, you could also say that the consistency now is going in a different direction, which means it's going to take time in most cases for the habit to continue, if that makes sense. Okay, so when it comes to consistency, we did give somewhat of um, definition. And if you want to know more about our Sunday brunches, please make sure that you come to our Sunday brunch here. They're virtual here on YouTube at 11 to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. All right. And so that we will receive the focus or the message for the week to come. So consistency, we use it. One of the definitions of many is when you're able to slow down and to stop to make this conversation. Excuse me, to stop and I'm sorry, doing something in the same way and having doing something in the same way, and the ability to stick to a plan or decision over time. To stick to a plan or vision over time. I say I'm going to do something, and consistently, in other words, over time, I'm going to fashion my focus and my efforts towards that thing. And with that being said, oftentimes there are obstacles that do come in our way, and it is meant not to determine whether we were right or wrong, but to help us to develop our spiritual muscles, our intellectual muscles, our mental muscles, sometimes our even physical muscles, depending on what your goal is. I hope that makes sense. And so another way we looked at it is a consistency. Like when you're making a cake, it's the way that a substance comes together, the viscosity of it or the thickness of it. Is it the right, is it too watery or is it too thick? Because in those cases, when we're trying to create something, not having the right amount of ingredients in the right space at the right time, it doesn't work. I thought I had on some lipstick. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, I feel like I do. Anywho, so we're talking about that kind of consistency, and the three things that we asked ourselves this week were, or remind ourselves, were that there's a part of you that desires for you to remain the same. Be mindful of that. And it's your shadow. It's what you've trained yourself to believe is correct, and or it safeguards you. Now, um, the second one is familiarity is your comfort, and it's not safe for you because it does not allow you to trust yourself, because in the comfort zone the same things happen, the same people are there, it's the same old, right? And a third thing is that your shadow, which is the sum total of your physical experiences, the negative parts of those, or those things that you tend to want to relieve yourself of, that requires your attention right now. And it's doing its job. The question is, are you doing yours? So when it comes to being consistent, we want to be mindful that it requires a ongoing um, conformity to whatever you've decided that you want to do, and that your shadow will come up because it never goes away. Your shadow will come up simply because you need to be able to create a different perspective or a different habit. Okay. The second thing, so that's all of that. Now, throughout the day, throughout the week, this is all talking about that thing we've been talking about all month, minding our business. And our business is self care, from the minute decisions that we make to the grand decisions that we make, right? We're minding our business. We're losing our minds, our old ways of thinking about things. That's what I mean by losing our mind, about losing our minds, our old way of thinking. So with all of that happening, as this week being consistent, is as spirit is telling us that you are doing the work. Just keep doing it, and don't allow your former mindset, don't allow, because things are not working as fast as you thought, don't allow that to slow you down or even stop you. It takes continued, that's what consistency is. It takes continued dedication towards it, and not being sold on the goal, but sold on the fact that you are, the more you exercise your biceps, the stronger they become. They don't become the strongest they will become on the first day. That you keep doing that until they start to take form. You start to feel your strength changing, and you become not just creating a or completing a process, you're engaged in and you're paying attention to how you're responding and how you're reacting. So this week, that's why the word consistency may mean more to us in one area than it does in the other. But Spirit certainly does not want us to be down on ourselves, right? The three messages or the three uh, instruments that our guides wanted us to be mindful of this week is to be mindful that everyone has value. Everyone, everyone, everything, every experience, whether you believe it has value, whether you have you have judged its value by your own belief system or by your own experiences, by your own traumas, by your own happy experiences. Everything has a value. It all goes together for the picture, for the big picture, as a matter of fact. And as we understand that we are part of the big picture and we are part of that transformation that has to happen. And if we do this for ourselves first, well, excuse me, and if we will do this for ourselves first, it becomes easier to see it in others. But most of the times we are so enamored and unhealed that we see the other rather than ourselves. And we try to control it or we try to, you know, finagle it instead of how we are responding to it or how whether we should be dealing with it instead of turning and minding our own business for the betterment and for the betterment of our self-care, period. You have to be consistent. You have to continue to say, do I love myself enough to? What? Absolutely. Do I love myself enough to see that this is a reflection of me? Do I love myself enough to not worry? Do I love myself enough to say something? Do I love myself enough not to say a word? Do I love myself to obey my highest self? Because the more I pay attention, when you pay attention to yourself, you don't see everything outside of you that doesn't look so good. Why I keep trying to show that card? So when we're being consistent and minding our business, we have to first make sure that we're creating, that we're shining the light on ourselves so that as we see things that don't agree with us, at least we can understand how that happens and keep on and going about our business instead of absorbing because we've absorbed enough. Haven't you had enough that already happened in your life that enough is a damn enough? Enough is enough. I don't want to create any more situations without me really knowing that that's what I'm doing. So this week, in being consistent, Spirit wants us to be lay off the judgment. Because when you lay off the judgment of others, you lay off the judgment of yourself. The second message that the Spirit Guide wants us to know is that if we'd like for things to happen for us, we got to be mindful of whether we are giving what we're expecting, whether we're doing what we're saying we're doing, whether our words and our actions are consistent or congruent would be another word. Are you leading by example? And not for other people, for yourself. See, when you lead by example, you are in control of your shadow and you tell your shadow what to do when it pops up. You said you were going to do a certain thing and be consistent at it, then do it. You're the only person that that you may be competing with. So when you begin to lead by example, and that's a new one for me today, that's a new interpretation. That when I lead example for myself. When my shadow comes up and all the things that are coming up that it seems like it's opposite to what I want, I do what I said that I would do. What's consistency? The ability to stick to a plan or a decision over time. Set the tone for what you want. Exactly. We want to set the tone for what we want for ourselves. And in return, we are doing it and other people are seeing it. And we're not doing it for them, but they get the benefit of our overflow. And now you're harvesting more of your own energy rather than giving it away. So that is in being consistent, be mindful of whether you're saying and doing, whether they're coming together. Because throughout the week, there will consistently be examples and opportunities for you to participate in. And at that moment of opportunity, right? At that why, at that fork up in the road, the question becomes, do I love myself enough to? And that's where the consistent focus, if you can consistently stop and begin to slow down, understanding which lane you're in. Remember, not thinking about the outcome, not trying to figure out who's going to fix it, when is it going to happen, how is it going to happen, what if, how much money, how much time. You understand that your lane is not the process. I mean, it's not the outcome lane. Your lane is the process lane. And you promised yourself that you wouldn't worry about it. But you may listen, and you have to give yourself grace, because in giving yourself grace, you realize, again, we talked about being spiritual toddlers. And toddlers wear stride rights. We're talking about these ones are just about to start this walking. They're strengthening their ankles and their feet, right? They're understanding a little bit more about what balance is. So, as you were able to accomplish something in another realm of your life and wear a certain type of regalia or an outfit or a shoe or do a certain thing, this is a different level. And we talked about qualifying and quantifying our experiences so that we can use the benefit of that information to go forward, knowing, even though we don't always know how spirit is going to lead and guide. Yes, baby, them hard bottoms. I know you know, mommy. I know you know, Glow. Right? So that's the thing. You giving ourselves grace, because we at this level in our lives, this next level, you're starting over anew. Babies want to be held, and babies want to be guided, and babies don't know that they have charisma. We have charisma. You want to do the thing, but it's going to also take the level of consistency that you're working on to apply it to this thing. To know that anytime you've done something or learned something new in the past, it takes time. If you watch your children, if you watch anybody learning anything for the first time, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. You can't learn it as quick. If it's related to the thing in the past or something you've done in the past, and that's why I say if you qualify and quantify, then you can gather your experience of how this happened before and how I can use that information to kind of tweak it to be a step to the next level. And that's why the last card that the guide says, that's why just use what you have. You've done this before. Make each day count. There is something to be done. There is time to rest. You have to decide at the juncture, at that crossroads, do I love myself enough to fill in the blanks? And this is not, you're not racing against anybody. This is not a competition. So you can't really push it off on anyone else because it's just all about you. It's all about what you're learning about yourself. It's all about what you're willing to be exposed to about you. And that doesn't lead that really helps us to have compassion for other people, especially if you've been through something that somebody else has been through, right? And I understand, girl, because I understand, guy, because I've been there before. Conversely, if you've never been there before, but it seems opposite and incorrect and negative to you, right? You have to apply that same principle. It has a value. Sometimes we have to be shook back in out of comfort into awareness. Now you leaning too much over there, little judgy judge, aren't we? Do unto others as you would have them. Ain't nobody talking about whether they were right, wrong, good or bad. I want to begin to understand what unconditional love is, because it comes from my my healed my healed wounds. But if my wounds are not healed, then it may take a little time for me to kind of get that concept. Mm. But the longer it takes you, the longer you press back the manifestations and the blessings and the rewards that you are asking for. It appears that I love myself enough to, see, what is it? I love myself enough to hold on to this because it's comfortable. I love myself because I got to have something to hold on to, folks. Right? And so we want to be thoughtful of how we're thinking. We're minding our business. My business, your business, our business is how I feel when I say that. How do I feel when they say that? How does my body respond? Does it ring true to me? Am I in alignment? All of these things, it's not like work. And when it becomes work, then you think that you're not a spiritual being. It's a level of awareness that comes upon you through your everyday living that we willfully surrender to. And if we can't willfully surrender to it at that time, we understand that. We give ourselves grace. We take off them high heels. Stop scuffling across the floor with them little bitty feet of this situation in them big ass shoes that you used to wear in the old situation. You seen the little babies scuffling across the floor with daddy's shoes on. Their feet this big and daddy wears size 12. Still trying to hold on to that which does not serve us and kind of make everything fit the way it feels comfortable. Right? Yeah. Not right, not wrong, not good, not bad. Just a wobbling. Yes. It's part of the process because you're going into a new phase, something different, something else has approached you that you hadn't thought of, or you're doing something different and you're trying to continue, but your shadow part of you is not fighting you, but it's doing what it normally does. But because you are aware, you're just like, oh my God, this is too much. Tell that to sit down. I'm in control. And I might fall down the first time, like a baby does when it pulls up on the table to walk and try to take a step. And I might cry but you are always there to encourage me with a word, with a synchronicity, with something to let me know that I'm on my feet. Now, that I'm on my right path. And somehow you pull up and here you are again. But if you are not giving yourself credit for that, then every time you fall, then you think you'll be starting from the beginning every time. It doesn't seem like progress if you're not seeing where you're going or adding all of this strength up at one time. That imbalance, absolutely. So we need to see that. So that brings up our saboteur, which is our archetype of the week. The saboteur is that part of us that says, in the light attribute, it says it highlights your fear of self empowerment and the changes it would bring to your life. I would do it, but I realize that's how I always get stuck. This is the light attribute. You get kind of stuck because what if I do this? Is it going to help? What? Don't go so far down the line. Spirit says, know that that's what that sabotage, that saboteur part of you. You're getting to the point that that's where you know where you get thrown off. I started letting myself talk to myself and talk myself out of it and start thinking about all the things it would take. And Spirit didn't say that. Spirit said, take a step. I didn't bring any water. Just take a step. Be mindful of when it comes up that you already know that you always feel this way when you get ready to take a new step. And whatever it means, Spirit, I am releasing the outcome. Right? I'm going to use what I have. I don't need anything more than what I have right now. Absolutely. When the saboteur comes up, it's running ahead of yourself. That's exactly right. Glow. Thank you for the comments. Yes. Reaching an end that isn't even true. It's just something we keep. And so that's how you know you're doing the work. But as a saboteur, that's the part of you. The shadow says it induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Self-destructive behavior is doing the same thing over and over and stopping and saying, no, I can't do this. Or putting yourself in a position where you already know you're not going to do it. Setting yourself up or setting other people up. And not always maliciously. Out of your own wounds, you can project your fears onto others, and so can other people. And because we're unaware of it, once those words are said or that action is taken, it makes us second guess. So those are the destructive behaviors that could come about as a result of the sabotage. You don't give yourself, you realize this is you, but this is part of the conformity or a part of the consistency. See, in the light, you at least recognize that's how you feel. And you do something about it. What do you do, Coach? You use what you make good of what you have. You take a step. You move forward. And if you can't, you give yourself grace because the next opportunity will soon come. Every single day, everything is always revolving around what you requested. But before you can see the glory of it, you have to get through the weeds and the thistle and all of the chaotic stuff. And that's the part that seems so hard. But does that make sense? I hope that makes sense because it certainly is run ahead of ourselves. So when you know that that's happening, when you know, you stop it, because that doesn't have to be true. That's what we use, that destructive behavior or thought patterns or actions. Thank you. Those are the things. Oh my God. I gotta do what? Oh Lord, I can't. I don't want to. Tomorrow, it's coming tomorrow. Oh, it's already here. But the spirit animal this week is the buffalo. I don't know how many times you have seen it, heard that name, Buffalo Wild Wings, Home on the Range. I don't know what you have seen, but spirit will show you. And when you see the spirit animal of the week, which is for us the buffalo, spirit is reminding you, you're doing too much because I got this. You're always taken care of. Everything is already provided. I mean, what else? It's just a matter of you trusting what you have been told. Trusting what you know. And even if you can't see it, how did you get this far? What is this hat doing? I got on black pants and you can't tell. And you're not trying to coordinate, but I digress. Spirit says, let go of everything that makes it so hard for you to feel like you are in charge. You cannot carry the weight of but so much. Some days you can carry this much weight. Some days you can carry this much weight. If you're trying to carry this much weight every day and still orchestrate without hands and give signals and all of that, you're becoming a martyr archetype. And the martyr archetype on the low vibrational side, or the lower, what is it? The lower attribute says, if I don't do it, it won't get done. It needs me to do it. I have to. We're gonna knock the cards down. Let me go away for 1 second. I need to get some water. Oh, all right. My apologies. The same thing with learning. Ooh, sorry. The same thing with learning a new platform, right? Or learning. Now, it's this example of this social media shutdown situation. Really was whatever it was over there, but in my mind, and what it helped me to understand is that shaking, that thing that happens when we've gotten too comfortable in a situation or with a person or on a job or whatever it is. And spirit has been speaking to you and kind of listening to it, but when the thing happens, it makes you really pay attention. You're grateful that you are in this spirit of awareness, but it's almost like a preface or a what if that had happened, or what would you have done if kind of situation. And I was so grateful that I could reflect to see how some of the things I asked for, some of the successes, or some of the things that I thought were successes relative to just some successes, right? And they weren't happening as I suppose. They weren't happening. Why are they happening for this person? Why this happen? All of that. Ever done that? I see them I'm doing all of this and this isn't happening. I just asked for that. Why can't that happen for me? Right. So that became a thought. And when certain things kind of congealed, I was like, Spirit said, so that's why. Because if you had been caught up in a certain mindset and on that hamster wheel of thinking that you're comfortable, when things come to a screeching halt, you have nothing. You have allowed yourself to be lulled into something that is untrue. Where did I put my You know, I'm just talking. I ain't got to read that because I can't see. I guess I left my glasses in the kitchen. Would you pardon? Hello, who's here? Hello, have another person here. So before I go, let me finish this thought. Being lulled. And sometimes, you know what a lulled feels like? You ever been driving or in a car and you kind of just you get sidewhacked for whatever and you get kind of over in the other lane a little bit and you snatch yourself back. Sometimes you get right to something and you can tell that you were protected because if had not been, it would have been one more second and you get lulled into something. And so that's what that situation felt like, being lulled. And being able to look back and see why, because I knew that I felt comfortable, but I'm like, dang, I feel like numb. I could give it like now with I really. So unless we're stopping, unless we're being consistent in our practices, unless we're releasing judgment, because all those things, inconsistency, judgment, right, blaming, complaining, all of that just makes us heavier and heavier and heavier and so dense that you really can't see and hear what Spirit is saying, not with any joy or with any consistency. So it looks like it's lagging a little bit. I can see it, but I can't. Some new lemonade of berries. Woo, it's a little sour. And so this week, our plan is consistency. To see the value in every situation. And if by any chance my body, my spirit, or my mind, my emotions, any part of my being reacts in a way that doesn't match with the universal life force energy, let me be willing to stop and ask myself, do I love myself enough to check this out? Do I love myself enough to face the truth? Do I love myself enough to suspend judgment and be consistent with myself? Because that is what I definitely would like to see other people do. So I should be the first partaker. And by doing so, I'm going to use what I have. And every single day, I'm going to ensure that I'm doing whatever it takes in order to be consistent in this goal. And the first goal is to mind my business, to lose my former experiences and things that no longer serve me, right? To know that although I cannot see the outcome, I know that I'm always protected. I know that I am abundant and that you will always send, Spirit, examples and symbols and spirit animals for me to hear, see, and know. And Spirit says, with all of this being done and with everything pulling at you and you going through so many different things, remember to watch your energy expenditure, to cloak yourself in light, to protect yourself, just like you would go outside in all of the snow in most areas and all of the cold in the winter. You would have to protect yourself by putting on the appropriate attire and do it in layers or have the right kind of fabrics that really does keep moisture away from your body but heat close. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the same things you'd have to do on the outside is the same thing that Spirit is asking you to do on the inside. Let me get my glasses because it looks like we do have a response. Some right here. Must have left the other ones. Sorry, y'all. And for all of those who are watching the replay, this is the perfect time for you, right? You might not have seen it on the week that this particular wellness plan was designed for, but whenever you see it, this message is just for you. This is just a spirit is throat chopping you glow. I get it. I just think it's so, I have to see it as love. I really do. Because you can hear it, you know it, you've been brought in a position to see it, and that is everything. Do you love yourself enough to accept that that is love? Do I love myself enough to say thank you because I asked to be better? And I didn't realize that it was going to take all this because you're doing a lot, Spirit. Because if I had a noted Spirit, so that's why I didn't tell you. Because see, that Spirit right here would come up and then you would find a way, but you had to go through certain things to be able to recognize when you fall into certain patterns of behaviors that you don't care for. And so this week, that is just like a review for us to understand that Spirit loves us. We are in alignment. We could always be better. But as far as we know, we are in alignment, even though it doesn't feel good, it gets better. And if it's not getting better, then there may be something that we have to readjust or find out because this universal life force energy doesn't always keep us in the same space. We do. Now, I know divine timing is everything, but if we're doing the same karmic behavior, expecting a different result, then that's not going to happen. That's just insane. Any questions on this midday review? I'm so glad that you were able to be, not midday, this is like the midweek almost. We're going to get together on Sunday. I will plan to try to come live later on. If any other people come, um, like, share. Is it like, share, subscribe, all of those things, so that we can begin to share even more of this message and become a part of what makes um, the universal life force expand even more. It has already expanded, but the consciousness, people becoming more conscious, and it usually will happen through certain courses of actions that are not always pleasant. Because in order for you to have anything on this lot, all the old things must go away. In some cases, you can save some things. In some cases, some things have to be demolished. So understand that the process is what you are going through and what is required in order for you to see the part of you that you have never seen before, or maybe have are getting back to, or understanding. But what I believe is this is a whole new something that we've never seen before. So there's no prototype. So your expectations don't matter. They only bring you down in sorrow and in worry. So think bigger than you can think. And when you begin to feel as though you're so low down, you have to do something totally different to get in a different vibration. Don't continue to dig into or burrow down into it, right? Some days it's too much. It's time for a break. Everybody get a lunch break or a 15-minute. Woo, Jesus, give yourself a break because we were not put here to heal 24/7. We're here to enjoy life. And in order for you to enjoy life, you have to be consistent. You have to love yourself. And sometimes we don't know what love is for ourselves, and that is what we're developing. That is what we're developing. Yes, hit the notification bell. Yes, 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 yes. Make sure you do that so we can have that. Letting go of the part of me that I used to cope, and survive since teenage years is tough. Absolutely. Because because if you can recognize it, then you can let it go. Because once you recognize something that's no good for you, you don't want to play with that. I don't go over there to get it. Now, if I keep playing with it, that means there's something in me that needs to have that interaction. But the first to acknowledge that there's some things that happened in my life, but what was the flip side of what that brought into my life? What have I really learned? And if I'm holding on to something that keeps reminding me of something that I don't like, what is that? Is that asking me to heal from it, to release it and let it go? Or do I need something to happen in order for me to feel validated in that situation? The validation comes from you only. The validation comes from you. It doesn't come from another person. It doesn't come from another thing. The validation comes from the fact that something happened. This is what I get from that. And I'm so grateful that I now have a different perception of it. And now that I have a different perception of it, I can divide it into what I no longer need. The pain is no longer necessary. I was carrying that because I didn't know it didn't have to go together with this knowledge that I'm gaining from it. So I say goodbye to the pain. And now my concentration or my focus is on what I learn and how I can use that to make each day count. It's the it's the experience. So we have two things: experiences that never leave us that are unhappy. We've always seen them as one thing. That thing, that time when. However, when you can begin to allow yourself to release from the pain of it and separate the pain from the wisdom of the situation, what you learned, how you became literally better from it, or how you allowed the bitter to control your life, then you no longer need the pain. That's enough right there is to pay attention to your revelation. The revelation is what's going to get you to go higher. That's the quantifying and qualifying. I've been through this before. This is a result of that, or whatever it is, whatever reasoning that you're doing. Because remember, every person, everything, every situation has value. There is nothing that does not have value in your life. She said, I feel safe, but I was being used up, excuse me, but I was being used up. The safety was an illusion that was really detachment. So you're getting something out of it. You're understanding. See, because the more you go in, the less you need to depend on the thoughts, the confirmations, the opinions of others. Because now you're trusting yourself, your higher self. You are pulling in to see the truth, and that is what sets you free. And so your boundaries now, you start learning, okay? So if every time I do this and every time I give that, if you're not if things are not reciprocated, that consider what your part in that engagement is. What is your part in a situation where you are giving something that you're not receiving? Right? You have to determine what's important. And until you are satisfied with what you need to do, if you do anything outside of that, yes, hypocritical. Hypocritical. That goes against everything that you know. So you're reaping or creating those ripple effects that'll keep coming back to you. You're going against yourself for the sake of something else. That even if you gave it to it, you'd have to keep doing it over and over and over. It won't ever stop because that's you giving something to something or someone that is not willing to do it for themselves. Now we're not talking about a disabled person. You got to help them, and we're not talking about people who need your help. But even in that, there's a way to be integral about minding your business. So anytime I'm not feeling safe, that right there is an indication that I need to be unaware. What is it that's not making me feel safe? Why am I not feeling safe? And is it because of that thing, or is it because of that thing reminds me of my wound, that reminds me of the situation that I wasn't safe back in the day when? Does that make sense? Either you don't feel safe because of that person, place, or thing, right? Or you don't feel safe because that thing reminds you of your wound, and that reminds you of that person, place, or thing that happened back in the day. That's why I don't feel safe. One of them you can control. You can't control when somebody else doesn't make you feel safe. You can control what you do in that situation. But the other one that reminds you of your wound, that's the one Spirit says, I need you to eat the fish and spit out the bones. What is the revelation? And get rid of the pain. Because it doesn't serve you. You're paying attention to the pain more. You're paying attention to putting some mercurochrome or some peroxide on the wound. Both of them gonna hurt, but at least if you put some to cure the wound, it won't hurt anymore. And I know I said a lot of words, but that is the gist of why I think it's important, first of all, to have support in your life. Someone who can check the checker, right? Everybody, I believe, needs somebody who can speak into their lives. Somebody or tools that we use and all of these things, because we sometimes wounds have us so bent over that we can't even pay attention to the fact that it's a wound. It's pain. That's all I can feel. I don't know about the wound. I don't know. I heard. That's all I can tell you. Right? And so this week, although we're coming towards the end of the week, continue to monitor or mind your business. Continue to allow yourself to love yourself, and at each juncture or each time of decision, ask yourself, do I love myself enough to fill in the blank? Remind yourself that there's a part of you that desires to remain the same. It doesn't want to change. It's not going to go easy with this consistency thing. Here we go again. Girl, what is we doing? You know you don't like it in the cold. Don't you know you don't like it in the hot? You know we don't do well with, and it feels and seems so real because it's familiar. Now it's gonna do its part. Are you gonna do your part? The familiar is a comfort zone. Remember that, and that's where you don't want to be. So anytime something feels unfamiliar, you are in the right place. Typically, if you've been going in the familiar all this time, and well, how's that working? The unfamiliar is usually the process that we stay away from because it seems hard or we can't see our way clear. And the third one is that the shadow needs your attention. And it's doing its part. Are you? Okay? Don't forget about the power animal reminding us. Spirit says, listen, you are provided for in all ways. It doesn't matter. Start moving. I'll take care of the who, what, the when, where, and the why. Just just stay consistent to yourself, with yourself, and watch. Not only do you change, will you change yourself, but you'll watch other people see you and make changes in themselves. So that part of you that just don't want, tell it to sit down somewhere and protect your energy. I trust that this has been a review for the week of consistency of January 19th through the 25th. And we're going to get together again for our next week. We're going to get together on Sunday, the 26th, so that we can find out what Spirit has to say for us for that entire week, so we can have a level of focus. You are so welcome. Please do feel free to watch it. I'm glad that you were here, and we are going to get together real soon. I will be contacting you. But I do appreciate you. This is something new for me, and I appreciate you making history with me today. We might get on a little bit later. I'm going to try to come on a little bit more to see, but I'm going to check out how this works. And right now, I'm not doing a lot of editing, but we're going to try to do that too. All right. You are so welcome. And don't forget to marry you. Be balanced, be inspired, and continue to grow. Have a great day.